The man who interrupts the dinner doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't threaten anyone. He doesn't even look angry. He just sits down. The chair scrapes softly against the floor, the kind of sound you only notice when everything else stops. Conversations nearby falter. Someone across the room laughs a second too late. The lighting doesn't change, but it feels harsher all the same. Mira doesn't turn at first. She already knows who it is. She's learned the weight of his presence over 5 years of marriage without touch. 5 years of shared space divided by silence. 5 years of understanding that proximity doesn't mean access, and vows don't guarantee interest. The man across from her, pleasant, forgettable, kind, stiffens. He glances at the newcomer, then at Mira, as if trying to determine whether this is a misunderstanding or a warning. He never gets the chance. "This seat taken?" the newcomer asks mildly. No one answers. The question isn't meant to be. By the time the waiter returns, the man Mira had been speaking with is already standing, apologizing for reasons he can't articulate, promising to call though everyone at the table knows he won't. He leaves his glass half full. Mira notices that before she notices anything else. Only then does she look at her husband. He hasn't changed much. Same composed expression. Same careful restraint. The kind of man who doesn't reach for things unless he's certain they belong to him. His eyes linger on her as if she's a detail he missed and is only now correcting. "What are you doing here?" she asks. "Eating," he says. Then, after a pause that feels intentional, "with my wife." The word lands heavier than it should. For 5 years, it existed only on paper. In contracts. In formal introductions. Never in moments like this. Never spoken as justification. Mira stands, reaching for her coat. "That was unnecessary," she says. "So was pretending," he replies, calm enough to be unsettling. She leaves before the conversation can settle into something worse. Later, in a different apartment, with borrowed walls and unfamiliar quiet, she replays the scene not for its drama, but for its implication. The interruption hadn't been fueled by affection. It had been triggered by proximity, by the realization that absence had limits. Her phone vibrates once. Then again. Short messages. Direct. Assumptive. She doesn't answer right away. For the first time in years, she lets him wait. And in that waiting, something shifts, subtle, irreversible. Not reconciliation. Not rebellion. Leverage. She doesn't know yet what she'll do with it. Only that whatever comes next won't resemble the life she's been living. The dinner is over. The silence is broken. And nothing that follows will be clean. The penthouse is exactly as she left it. Same untouched surfaces. Same curated quiet. The kind of space that doesn't accumulate disorder because no one lives in it enough to leave marks. Mira doesn't go there immediately. She spends 2 nights in the borrowed apartment, a place that belongs to a colleague who asks no questions. The walls are thin enough that she hears neighbors arguing about groceries, about whose turn it is to take out the trash. Normal things. Petty things. She almost envies them. On the 3rd morning, her phone stops vibrating with messages and starts ringing instead. She answers on the 5th ring. "Where are you?" Joon Hyuk's voice is even, unremarkable. He could be asking about a misplaced file. Does it matter? A pause. Shorter than she expects. "Yes." She ends the call. 20 minutes later, her father calls. That one she doesn't answer. By evening, she's back at the penthouse because the alternative is letting someone else decide when she returns. She uses her own key. The security detail in the lobby doesn't react, but she feels the shift in attention as she passes. Joon Hyuk is in the living room when she walks in. Not waiting by the door. Not pacing. Just standing near the window with his hands in his pockets, looking at the city like it's a spreadsheet. He turns when he hears her. "You didn't answer your father?" he says. "No." He's concerned. He's concerned about optics. Joon Hyuk doesn't argue. He moves toward the kitchen instead, pours water into 2 glasses though she hasn't asked for anything. He sets one on the counter between them. "We need to talk about the restaurant," he says. "No, we don't. You were seen. With someone." Mira finishes. Having a conversation? Committing the crime of being spoken to like a person. His jaw tightens. Not anger. Calibration. "You know what it looked like." "I know what you made it look like." He sets his glass down harder than necessary. The sound cracks through the quiet. "I didn't plan to be there." "But you were." "I was told you were there." "By who?" He doesn't answer. Mira picks up the glass he poured for her and drinks half of it in one motion. The water is cold enough to hurt. You had me followed, she says. Not a question. I had you protected. From what? Coffee. From exposure. The word sits between them like evidence. She wants to ask what kind of exposure requires interrupting a meal, what kind of protection looks like possession. She doesn't. You touched my chair, she says instead. He blinks. What? At the restaurant. You pulled out the chair. You touched it before you sat down. She watches his face for recognition. You've never done that. Not once. Not at our wedding. Not at any dinner we've attended together. You don't touch things unless they're yours. His expression doesn't change, but something behind it shifts. That's what this is about. A chair. No, Mira says. It's about 5 years of not touching me at all. The silence that follows is different. Denser. Joon Hyuk steps closer. Not all the way. Just enough that the distance becomes deliberate. I was told it was safer, he says quietly. For who? For you. By who? Again, no answer. Mira sets the glass down and moves past him toward the hallway. He doesn't follow, but his voice does. Where are you going? To bed. Mira, I'm tired, Joon Hyuk. I'm tired of being protected from my own life. She doesn't wait for a response. In the bedroom, she closes the door and stands in the dark for longer than necessary. Her phone vibrates once. A message from the man at the restaurant, apologizing for leaving abruptly, hoping she's all right. She deletes it without responding. Then she turns off her phone entirely. Outside, she hears Joon Hyuk's footsteps in the hall. They stop outside the door. She counts the seconds. 38. Then they retreat. She doesn't sleep that night. Neither does he. She knows because at 4 in the morning, she hears the elevator doors open and close. The sound of him leaving. When she finally checks her phone in the morning, there are no new messages. Just a calendar notification for a meeting she didn't schedule. With his father. The meeting is at a restaurant Mira has been to exactly twice. Both times for business, her father refused to attend himself. She arrives early. The hostess recognizes her and doesn't ask questions. Joon Hyuk's father is already seated when she's shown to the table. He doesn't stand. He gestures to the chair across from him with the efficiency of someone who measures time in increments too small to waste. You look well, he says. It's not a compliment. It's an assessment. Thank you for meeting me, Mira replies, though she didn't request this. She sits. He pours tea from a pot that's already been brought to the table. Earl Grey. She doesn't drink Earl Grey. He knows this. My son tells me you're unhappy. Your son interrupted my dinner. Yes. He slides the cup toward her. He's been careless. The word choice is deliberate. Not impulsive. Not emotional. Careless. Is that what you call it? Mira asks. I call it what it is. A miscalculation. He sips his own tea, unfazed. He was told to maintain distance. He interpreted that literally. Told by who? His eyes meet hers. Gray, like the tea. Like the sky before it decides what kind of day to become. By me. The admission doesn't come with apology. It comes with context. 5 years ago, the marriage served a purpose. Your family needed legitimacy. Mine needed access to your logistics network. Sentiment would have complicated the transition. He sets his cup down with precision. I advised him to treat the arrangement professionally. Professionally, Mira repeats. Yes. For 5 years. Yes. She doesn't touch the tea. And now the arrangement has stabilized. The networks are integrated. Your father's legal troubles have been managed. He pauses. Sentiment is no longer a liability. Mira feels something cold settle in her chest. Not shock. Recognition. You're giving him permission. I'm removing a restriction. And if I don't want it removed, he considers this with the same attention he'd give a clause in a contract. Then you'll continue as you have been. Separate lives. Shared assets. Minimal friction. He tilts his head slightly. Is that what you want? She doesn't answer immediately. Across the restaurant, someone laughs. A waiter drops a fork. The sounds feel very far away. What does Joon Hyuk want? She asks instead. That's not the question I asked. But it's the one that matters. His expression shifts. Not softer. More focused. He sat at your table uninvited. He touched your chair. He stayed until the other man left. He leans back. I suspect he's already answered. Mira picks up the teacup. Holds it without drinking. He's never asked me what I want, she says quietly. Neither have I, he replies. Until now. The implication hangs between them. This isn't an apology. It's an offer to renegotiate terms. What happens if I say I want something he can't give, she asks. Then you'll need to decide whether you're willing to build something different or whether you'd prefer the clarity of distance. He watches her carefully. Both are valid. Only one requires hope. She sets the cup down without tasting it. Hope is expensive. Yes, he agrees. It is. He signals for the check, though neither of them has eaten anything. The waiter appears instantly, places the folder beside his hand. He doesn't open it. My son is not accustomed to wanting things he hasn't been given, he says. It will make him clumsy, possibly unkind, certainly inefficient. Is that supposed to reassure me? No. He stands, adjusting his cufflinks with the same precision he applies to everything. It's supposed to prepare you. He leaves cash on the table. More than necessary. One more thing, he says before turning to go. The man at the restaurant. The one my son removed. Mira goes very still. He works for the Chongsan Group. Mid-level facilitator. Clean record. No direct involvement in operations, but proximity enough to matter. He meets her eyes. Whether you knew that or not is irrelevant. Others will assume you did. He leaves before she can respond. Mira sits alone at the table for 7 minutes. She counts them. When she finally stands, her phone vibrates. A message from Joon Hyuk. We need to talk. She types a response. Deletes it. Types another. Tomorrow. Then she walks out into air that feels thinner than it should. Tomorrow becomes 3 days later. Mira doesn't avoid Joon Hyuk. She just doesn't make herself available. She takes meetings across the city. She schedules site visits at warehouses that don't require her presence. She answers his messages hours after they arrive, in fragments too brief to build conversation from. Busy. In a meeting. Can't talk now. She knows what she's doing. So does he. On the 4th day, she comes home to find him in the kitchen. Actually in it, not just passing through. There's a bag from a restaurant on the counter. Thai food. The kind they ordered once. Early in the marriage, before they stopped pretending meals together meant anything. You remembered, she says from the doorway. I keep records. It's the most honest thing he said to her in weeks. He starts unpacking containers. Pad CEW. Spring rolls. Tom yum soup. He's methodical about it, lining everything up like evidence. Your father called me, Mira says. Joon Hyuk's hands pause over the soup container. I know. You sent him. No. He looks at her. He decided on his own. He usually does. She moves into the kitchen, keeping the island between them. He told me you were following orders. For 5 years. I was. And now? Now I'm not. Just like that. He opens a drawer, pulls out utensils. No. Not just like that. She waits. He doesn't elaborate. The man at the restaurant, she says. The one you chased off. Did you know who he worked for? Yes. Before or after you sat down? Before. Mira feels something shift in her understanding. Not outrage. Recalibration. So it wasn't about me, she says. It was about him. Joon Hyuk sets down the utensils with more care than necessary. It was about both. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She reaches for a spring roll, bites into it without tasting. The silence stretches until it becomes something else. Not comfort. Habit. Why now? She asks finally. 5 years of nothing. Then this. He doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice is lower. You laughed. What? At the restaurant. Before I arrived. I was told you laughed at something he said. He looks at her. I've never heard you laugh. The admission lands heavier than it should. Mira sets down the spring roll. You've never said anything worth laughing at. It's cruel. She means it to be. He absorbs it without reaction. No, he agrees. I haven't. He serves the soup into 2 bowls. Slides one toward her. They eat in silence. Not companionable. Not hostile. Just the mechanics of consumption. Halfway through, her phone vibrates. She ignores it. It vibrates again. Joon Hyuk's eyes flick to it, then away. You can answer, he says. I don't want to. It might be important. So is this. Something crosses his face. Too quick to name. She picks up the phone to silence it and sees the preview. A number she doesn't recognize. A message that starts with regarding your conversation with. She puts the phone face down. Work? Joon Hyuk asks. Probably. He doesn't believe her. She can tell by the way he continues eating without pause, the way his attention stays fractionally too fixed on his bowl. My father told you about Chongsan, he says. Yes. He shouldn't have. But he did. Joon Hyuk sets down his spoon. The man you had coffee with. He approached you deliberately. It wasn't accidental. I know. You know? I figured it out after your performance. She meets his eyes. but I didn't know before. And it wouldn't have mattered if I had. Why not? Because I was having coffee, Joon hyuk. Not selling state secrets. Proximity is a tactic. So is isolation. The words land cleanly. He doesn't flinch, but the quality of his stillness changes. I didn't isolate you. You barely spoke to me for 5 years. I was protecting you. From what? Conversation? Connection? She pushes her bowl away. Or from yourself? He stands abruptly. Not angry. Just unmoored. I don't know how to do this, he says. Do what? This. Whatever this is supposed to be now. He gestures between them. I know how to manage risk. I know how to execute strategy. I don't know how to, he stops. Recalibrates. I don't know what you want. I want you to ask. I'm asking. No. You're cataloging problems. There's a difference. His jaw works. He turns toward the window. The city below is a grid of light and motion. Everything mapped. Nothing surprising. What do you want, Mira? The question sounds rehearsed. She answers anyway. I want to not feel like furniture in my own life. You're not. I want to matter to you for reasons that aren't strategic. He turns back. You do. Since when? Since always. That's not true. It is. He moves closer. Not touching. Just present. I was told distance was safer. I believed it. I executed it well. His voice drops. I didn't realize what it cost until I saw you with someone who didn't. Mira stands. The island's still between them. I'm not asking you to fix 5 years in one conversation, she says. I'm asking you to stop treating this like a negotiation. Then what should I treat it like? Like you actually want me here. I do. Prove it. The challenge sits between them. He doesn't move toward her. He doesn't make promises. He just nods once. Sharp. Definitive. All right. She waits for more. He doesn't give it. Her phone vibrates again. This time he looks at it directly. You should check that, he says. Later. Mira. Tomorrow. She leaves the kitchen. Leaves the food half-eaten. Leaves him standing in the space she vacated. In the bedroom, she finally reads the message. Regarding your conversation with my associate last week, I'd like to discuss a more formal arrangement. The terms would interest you. There's a name at the bottom. One she recognizes. She deletes the message. Then she restores it from trash. The formal arrangement arrives as a lunch invitation. Mira doesn't respond immediately. She lets it sit in her inbox for 2 days, watching the timestamp age. On the 3rd day, she accepts. The restaurant is downtown. Neutral territory. Expensive enough to signal seriousness. Public enough to prevent misinterpretation. The man waiting for her is older than she expected. Mid-50s. Well-dressed in a way that suggests consultation rather than instinct. He stands when she approaches, extends his hand. Ms. Kong. Thank you for coming. Mr. Lim. They sit. He orders water for the table without asking her preference. The waiter brings sparkling. I'll be direct, Lim says once they're alone. Your family's logistics operation is underperforming. Not catastrophically. Just enough to be noticed. Mira says nothing. Your marriage has provided stability, he continues. But stability isn't growth. And growth is what determines whether you're an asset or a liability. Is this a pitch or a threat? Neither. It's context. He opens a folder that was already on the table, slides a single page toward her. This is what we're prepared to offer. The numbers are significant, not life-changing, structure-changing. You want to buy my family's company, she says. We want to integrate it. You'd retain operational control. Expanded authority, actually. The current limitations on your decision-making would be removed. What limitations? He smiles. Doesn't answer. Your husband's family maintains veto power over major logistics decisions. You're aware of this. She is. She's worked around it for 3 years. That would end under this arrangement. Lim continues. You'd report directly to our board. Your compensation would reflect market value, not marital politics. Mira picks up the paper, reads it without reaction. Why me? Because you're competent. Because you're underutilized. Because your current position is ceremonial, and you've managed to make it functional anyway. He leans back. And because you were having coffee with one of my associates when your husband intervened. There it is. That was coincidence, Mira says. Perhaps. But coincidence can be useful when properly leveraged. She sets the paper down. You're offering me autonomy in exchange for defection. I'm offering you compensation for work you're already doing, without the overhead of managing your husband's concerns. He'd see it as betrayal. Would he? Or would he see it as you making an independent business decision? Lim tilts his head. Unless, of course, your marriage is more than a strategic arrangement. In which case, his opinion would matter for different reasons. The question is surgical. Mira doesn't answer it directly. I need time to consider. Of course. Though I should mention, the offer has a shelf life. 3 weeks. After that, we'll pursue other integration opportunities. Meaning your family's operation becomes less valuable to us if we've secured alternatives. He closes the folder. This isn't a threat. It's market dynamics. The waiter returns. They order food neither of them will finish. One more thing, Lim says after the waiter leaves. The visibility this arrangement would provide, it comes with exposure. Your husband's family has rivals. So do we. Being publicly associated with us would make you a target of interest. As opposed to being married to Joon Hyuk? Different type of interest. Different type of risk. And if I decline, then you continue as you are. Competent but constrained. Married but separate. He pauses. Though I suspect your husband's recent change in behavior complicates that option. Mira's expression doesn't shift, but something in her attention sharpens. What do you mean? He's been asking questions. About his father's instructions. About the original terms of your arrangement. Lim watches her carefully. Men who start questioning their own strategies tend to make unpredictable decisions. How do you know this? He doesn't answer. Doesn't need to. The food arrives. They eat mechanically. The conversation shifts to neutral topics. Market conditions, regulatory changes, nothing that requires honesty. When the check comes, Lim handles it before she can reach for her wallet. Think about it, he says as they stand. But not too long. She leaves through the front entrance. He leaves through the side. In the car, Mira sits without starting the engine. She reads the offer again. The numbers blur slightly. Not from emotion. From calculation. Her phone rings. Joon Hyuk. She lets it go to voicemail. Then she drives to her father's office instead of home. He's in a meeting when she arrives, but his assistant waves her through anyway. The 3 men sitting across from her father stand when she enters. They recognize her. One of them looks nervous about it. Give us the room, her father says. They leave without argument. You look troubled, he says once they're alone. I had lunch with Han Lim. Her father's expression doesn't change. I see. You knew he'd approach me. I suspected. And you didn't warn me. I wanted to see what you'd do. He gestures to the chair the nervous man vacated. What did he offer? She tells him. Not everything. The relevant pieces. When she finishes, her father is quiet for longer than she expects. It's a good offer, he says finally. But it would position you against your husband's family. That has consequences beyond business. The marriage is already complicated. Complicated can be managed. Adversarial cannot. Mira looks at him. Really looks. He's aged in ways she hasn't tracked. New lines around his eyes. Gray at his temples that wasn't there last year. What would you do, she asks. I'd take it. Why? Because I spent 30 years building something that still requires someone else's permission to function. You have a chance to avoid that. He leans forward. But I'm not married to the person whose permission I need. You are. He doesn't own me. No. But leaving him, professionally or otherwise, will cost you things you can't quantify yet. Like what? Like safety. Like access. Like the assumption of neutrality. He stands, moves to the window. Joon Hyuk's father made your marriage possible. He can unmake everything else just as easily. Mira stands as well. Then what's the point of the offer? The point, her father says, is that you finally have one. She leaves without saying goodbye. At home, the penthouse is dark. Joon Hyuk's shoes aren't by the door. On the counter, there's a note. His handwriting. Precise. Had to leave. Back tomorrow. We should talk. Underneath, a second line. I'm trying. Mira folds the note without reading it again. Then she takes out her phone and starts drafting a response to Lim. She doesn't send it. Not yet. Joon Hyuk returns on a Thursday. Mira is working in the study when she hears the elevator. She doesn't get up. The door opens and closes. His footsteps move through the apartment with the deliberation of someone cataloging what's changed. He appears in the doorway 10 minutes later. You're still awake, he says. I'm working. He doesn't come in. Just stands at the threshold like he's waiting for permission. Can we talk, he asks. Now. If you're willing. She saves her work. Closes the laptop. Gestures to the chair across from her desk. He sits. There's tension in the way he does it. Not discomfort. Preparation. I spoke with my father, he says. About the original terms. The instructions he gave me. He pauses. About why? Mira waits. There were threats. Joon Hyuk continues. Specific ones. Against your family. Against you. Integrating the businesses made you visible to people who saw your father as a problem. What kind of threats? The kind that required me to appear unattached. Uninterested. His hands rest on his knees, perfectly still. If I'd shown preference, shown investment, you'd have become leverage. So the distance was strategic. Yes. For 5 years. The threats didn't end quickly. Mira leans back. The chair creaks softly. When did they end? 6 months ago. The timeline sits between them. 6 months of continued distance after the necessity expired. Why didn't you tell me? She asks. I didn't know how. You could have started with the truth. The truth required context you weren't cleared to have. Cleared, Mira repeats. Like an employee. He flinches. Barely. Yes. She stands. Moves to the window. The city is quieter at this hour. Still present, just subdued. Your father said you were asking questions, she says without turning. He told you that. Someone else did. Joon Hyuk goes very still. Who? She doesn't answer. Mira. Who have you been talking to? She turns. Does it matter? Yes. Why? Because they might be threats? Because proximity is a tactic? She crosses her arms. Or because you're realizing you don't actually know what I do when I'm not here. All of those. The honesty is unexpected. She recalibrates. I had a meeting, she says carefully. A business discussion. An offer was made. What kind of offer? The kind that would give me authority without requiring permission. His expression shifts. Not anger. Something colder. Lim. She doesn't confirm. Doesn't deny. Joon Hyuk stands. What did you tell him? That I'd think about it. And I'm thinking about it. He moves closer. Not crowding. Just closing distance. If you align with Chongsan, my family will see it as defection. Your father's operation will lose protections we've provided. You'll gain independence, but you'll sacrifice infrastructure. Or I'll gain infrastructure that doesn't require me to negotiate with my husband's father for basic decisions. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. She holds his gaze. You want me to stay. They want me to leave. Both of you are offering me things. Neither of you is asking what I actually want. I asked. Once. After 5 years. I'm asking again. Why? Because he stops. Regroups. Because I want you to stay for reasons that aren't strategic. The phrasing is familiar. Her own words, reflected back. What reasons, she asks. I don't know how to explain them. Try. He's quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is lower. When I saw you at that restaurant, laughing at something someone else said, I realized I'd never given you a reason to laugh at anything I'd said. I'd never tried. He looks at her directly. I want to try. That's not a reason to stay married. No. It's a reason to start trying. Mira feels something loosen in her chest. Not trust. Not forgiveness. Just the slightest shift in possibility. I haven't decided about Lim's offer, she says. I know. If I accept, it will complicate things. I know that too. And if I decline? Then you decline. He moves closer. Almost within reach. But I want you to decline because you want to be here. Not because you're afraid of what happens if you leave. I'm not afraid. Good. She studies his face. Looks for performance. Finds something Messier instead. If we do this, she says slowly. If we try, I need things to be different. How different? I need to be included. In decisions. In conversations. In the parts of your life you've kept separate. Some of those parts are dangerous to know about. I'm already in danger. You just said so. He can't argue with that. All right, he says. I need you to stop making decisions for me without consultation. Even if I think I'm protecting you. Especially then. He nods. Once. Definitive. Anything else? I need you to mean it when you say you're trying. Not for 6 months while threats are managed. Not until the next strategic shift. Actually mean it. I do. Prove it. The word hangs between them. The same challenge from days ago. This time, he closes the remaining distance. Doesn't touch her. Just stands close enough that the space between them becomes a choice. How, he asks. I don't know yet. Tell me when you do. She almost smiles. Doesn't quite. I will. He leaves the study. She hears him moving through the apartment. Water running. Cabinets opening. The sounds of someone settling in rather than passing through. She sits back down at the desk. Opens her laptop. The draft response to Lim is still there, unsent. She reads it once. Then she deletes it entirely. Not because she's decided. Because she's not ready to decide. Her phone buzzes. A message from Joon Hyuk. Are you hungry? She types back. Yes. 3 minutes later, he appears with 2 plates. Reheated leftovers from days ago. He sets one in front of her without ceremony. They eat in the study. Not talking. Not silent. Something adjacent to comfortable. When she finishes, he takes both plates without asking if she's done. Thank you, she says. For what? For asking. He looks at her for a moment, then nods. After he leaves, Mira sits in the quiet. Not working. Not planning. Just present. It's not resolution. It's not certainty. But it's something. The meeting happens without warning. Mira receives a calendar invitation on a Tuesday morning. No context. Just a time, a location, and a list of attendees that includes Joon Hyuk's father, her own father, and 3 names she doesn't recognize. Her title is listed differently than usual. Director of Integrated Operations. She's never held that title. Joon Hyuk is in the kitchen when she finds him. Did you know about this? She shows him her phone. He glances at the screen. Something crosses his face. No. Your father's name is on it. I see that. What is this? I don't know. He sets down his coffee. But I'll find out. He makes a call. Steps into the next room. His voice is too low to hear clearly, but the tone carries. Clipped. Controlled. He returns 5 minutes later. It's a restructure, he says. Your role is being formalized. By who? By the board. Both families. Without asking me. Apparently. Mira stares at the invitation. What if I don't want it? Then you decline. He pauses. But you should attend the meeting first. Why? Because declining without knowing what you're declining could cost you leverage you didn't know you had. She looks at him. Did you ask for this? No. Would you tell me if you had? Yes. She's not certain she believes him. But she's not certain she doesn't. The meeting is downtown. Same building where she met with Lim 3 weeks ago. Different floor. Mira arrives alone. Joon Hyuk offered to come. She told him not to. The conference room is larger than necessary. Windows on 2 walls. A table that seats 16 but only holds 7. Her father is already there. So is Joon Hyuk's father. The 3 unfamiliar names belong to lawyers. No one stands when she enters. Ms. Kong, the eldest lawyer, says, "Thank you for coming." She sits at the end of the table, equidistant from both fathers. "I wasn't aware my role was being restructured," she says. "It's not a restructure," Joon Hyuk's father replies. "It's a formalization of existing responsibilities." "I didn't know I had existing responsibilities that required formalization." "You've been managing cross-family logistics for 18 months. Overseeing compliance. Coordinating with external regulators." He slides a folder toward her. "This simply codifies what you've already been doing." Mira opens the folder. The first page is an organizational chart. Her name appears 3 levels higher than she expected. "This isn't codification," she says. "This is promotion." Is there a difference? Yes. One reflects work already done. The other creates obligations that don't exist yet. The lawyer leans forward. "The obligations exist, Ms. Kong. You've been fulfilling them without proper authority. This grants you the authority your position requires. And if I decline, then someone else assumes the role. But the work you've been doing would need to be reassigned, likely to external management." Mira looks at her father. He's been quiet through the entire exchange. "You knew about this," she says. "I was consulted. And you approved?" "I saw no reason not to." "You didn't think to ask me first?" "I thought they would." The room is quiet. Joon Hyuk's father breaks it. "The role comes with compensation adjustment. Board seat. Autonomy over operational decisions within your division." He pauses. "It also comes with visibility." Meaning? "Meaning you'll be representing both families in public-facing capacity. Your decisions will be scrutinized. Your associations will matter." There it is. The condition buried in opportunity. "You're putting me in a position where aligning with outside interests becomes more complicated," Mira says. "We're putting you in a position where your current alignment is reinforced," he corrects. "Whether that complicates external offers is incidental." "Is it?" He doesn't answer. Doesn't need to. Mira closes the folder. "I need to review this properly before I agree to anything." "Of course. You have until Friday." "That's 3 days." "Yes." One of the other lawyers slides a second folder across the table. "This is the current reporting structure you'd be inheriting." And this, a third folder. outlines the integration points between family operations. Mira doesn't reach for either. What happens to my current work if I accept? It expands, the first lawyer says. You'd have authority to restructure processes that currently require dual approval. Hiring authority. Budget discretion within defined parameters. Who defines the parameters? The board, which you'd be joining. It's well constructed, not a trap, a corridor. I'd like copies of everything, Mira says, to review privately. Of course, the meeting ends without resolution. The lawyers distribute materials. Her father leaves without speaking to her directly. Joon Hyuk's father stays behind. You're upset, he says once they're alone. I wasn't asked. I was informed. Would you have preferred a negotiation? I would have preferred inclusion in the decision before it was made. The decision isn't made. You still have to accept. He straightens his cufflinks. But the opportunity won't remain open indefinitely. Because you'll offer it to someone else. Because the conditions that make it necessary are time-sensitive. He moves toward the door. Stops. My son is trying to repair what I instructed him to avoid. That's admirable. But sentiment doesn't change structural realities. You need authority to function effectively. This provides it. At what cost? The same cost everything has. Trade-offs. He opens the door. The question is whether the trade-offs are worth it. He leaves. Mira sits in the empty conference room for 15 minutes. Then she gathers the folders and leaves. At home, she spreads everything across the dining table. Charts, contracts, organizational maps. The scope is larger than she expected. Joon Hyuk arrives while she's still reviewing. How was it, he asks. Complicated. He looks at the papers. Doesn't touch them. Are you going to accept? I don't know yet. What would make you decline? She looks up at him. If I thought it was designed to control me rather than empower me. Is it? I'm not sure. He sits across from her. Looks at the organizational chart. You'd outrank me, he says. Does that bother you? No. He traces a line on the chart with one finger. But it will bother others. Who? People who assume rank reflects value. He meets her eyes. Including some on the board you'd be joining. Will you be one of them? No. How do I know that? You don't. He stands. But I meant what I said. I'm trying. This would give you authority I can't give you. That should matter. He leaves her to the paperwork. She works through it until 3 in the morning. By the end, she understands what they're offering and what they're not. On Friday, she sends her response. I accept. With conditions. The conditions take 2 hours to negotiate. By evening, she has a board seat, expanded authority, and a reporting structure that doesn't require routing through her husband. She also has a target on her back that wasn't there before. Joon Hyuk brings champagne home that night. They don't drink it. Congratulations, he says. Thank you. How does it feel? She considers the question carefully. Like I just agreed to something I can't take back. Is that good or bad? I'll tell you when I know. The photographs arrive on a Wednesday. Not to Mira. To her assistant, who forwards them without commentary. Just a subject line, FYI. There are 4 images. Time-stamped across 2 different days. Same location both times, a hotel bar in Gangnam. Same woman in each frame. Joon Hyuk sits across from her in 3 of them. In the 4th, his hand is on her arm. Mira looks at them once. Then again. Then a 3rd time, searching for context the images don't provide. She forwards them to Joon Hyuk without a message. His response comes 12 minutes later. Where did you get these? She doesn't reply. He calls. She doesn't answer. By evening, he's home. She's in the bedroom, door closed. He knocks. Mira. She opens the door, but doesn't move aside. Who is she? Mira asks. An asset. Someone we've used for information transfers. You've met with her twice in 3 weeks. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Operational compartmentalization. I can't disclose active protocols without clearance. I have board clearance now. Not for this. The distinction is surgical. Accurate. Infuriating. Your hand is on her arm, Mira says. I was escorting her out of a situation. What situation? I can't explain. Can't or won't. Both. She steps back. He takes it as permission and enters. This is what I was afraid of, Mira says. That trying would only last until something required you to stop. I'm not stopping. You're withholding. I'm protecting operational integrity. From your wife? Who sits on the same board. From anyone who doesn't need to know. He moves closer. This isn't about trust. It's about security protocols that existed before you had clearance and still exist now. Then get me clearance. I can't. Why not? Because I don't control it. Mira sits on the edge of the bed. The photographs are still on her phone. She doesn't look at them again. How many times have you met with her? She asks. 7 times. Over 18 months. Always at hotels. Public locations. Yes. Has she been to the penthouse? No. Would you tell me if she had? He's quiet for a moment. Probably not. The honesty is worse than a lie would be. How am I supposed to trust you when you're telling me there are things you'll always keep from me? Mira asks. You're not supposed to trust me unconditionally. You're supposed to trust that when I withhold information, it's for reasons that have nothing to do with how I feel about you. That's not how trust works. It's how operational security works. I didn't marry operational security. You married me. This is part of what that means. She looks at him. Really looks. His expression hasn't changed. Still controlled. Still measured. The same face he wore when they signed the marriage papers 5 years ago. Does she know about me? Mira asks. Yes. Does she know we're trying to make this real? I don't discuss our personal life with assets. That's not an answer. She knows you're my wife. That's all she needs to know. Mira stands. Moves to the window. It's raining. The glass is streaked with water that catches the city lights. Who sent the photographs? She asks. I don't know yet. But you have suspicions. Yes. Are they trying to destabilize us or warn me? Maybe both. She turns. That's not reassuring. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be accurate. Her phone buzzes. A message from a number she doesn't recognize. There are 12 more meetings you don't know about. She shows it to Joon Hyuk. His expression shifts. Not worry. Focus. That's a lie, he says immediately. How do you know? Because there have only been 7 meetings. Total. I keep records. Records you won't show me. Records I can't show you. That's convenient. It's procedure. Another message arrives. Ask him about the apartment in Seongsadong. Mira reads it aloud. There is no apartment in Seongsadong, Joon Hyuk says. Are you certain? Yes. How certain? Completely. A third message. He's lying. I can prove it. Mira sets her phone down. Someone is trying very hard to make me doubt you, she says. Yes. Why now? Because your new position makes you valuable. Unstable marriages are exploitable. So this is about my board seat. Partially. What's the other part? He doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice is quieter. Lim knows you didn't accept his offer. He's reminding you it's still available. By sending me photographs of you with another woman? By showing you that I have aspects of my life you can't access. That there will always be compartments you're not allowed into. He moves closer. He's offering you a life without compartments. Is he? That's what he wants you to believe. Mira picks up her phone. Reads the messages again. How do I know you're telling the truth? She asks. You don't. That's not helpful. It's honest. Honesty without evidence isn't worth much. I know. He reaches for her phone. May I? She hands it over. He looks at the number. Takes a photo of it with his own phone. I'll have this traced, he says. It'll take a few hours. And then what? Then we'll know who's doing this. And you'll tell me? Yes. Even if it's classified? He hesitates. If it directly concerns you, I'll find a way to tell you what matters. That's not the same as telling me everything. No, it's not. She takes her phone back. I'm not asking you to violate protocol, she says. I'm asking you to stop treating me like I'm outside the perimeter. You're not outside it. Then where am I? Closer than anyone else has ever been. It's not the answer she wants, but it's the only one he gives. Her phone buzzes again. This time it's an image. An apartment building. Seongsadong, according to the caption. Unit 847. Registered under a holding company, which he controls. Mira shows it to Joon Hyuk. He looks at it for a long time. I do control that holding company, he says finally. The unit exists. But I've never been there. Why do you own it? The company owns 12 units across the city. Safe houses. Drop points. I don't personally manage the inventory. So someone could be using it without your knowledge. Yes. That's not very reassuring either. No, it's not. She sits back down on the bed. He stays standing. I don't know how to do this, Mira says quietly. I don't know how to trust you when there are things you'll never be able to show me. Neither do I, he admits. But I'm trying to figure it out. Are you? Yes. Prove it. The word again. The same challenge. This time, he doesn't have an answer. Another message arrives. He won't prove it. He can't. That's the point. Mira turns off her phone. I need time to think, she says. How much time? I don't know. He nods. Moves toward the door. Stops. I'm not lying to you, he says. Even if I can't prove it right now. I want to believe that. But you don't. I don't know. He leaves. She sits in the dark for over an hour. When she finally checks her phone again, there are 6 more messages. All variations of the same theme. You deserve someone who doesn't hide from you. She doesn't respond to any of them. But she doesn't delete them either. The confirmation arrives on Friday. Not from Joon Hyuk. From a third party Mira didn't ask to involve herself. The woman's name is Choi Min-young. She appears at Mira's office without appointment, tells the receptionist she has information about recent photographs, and waits. Mira considers refusing the meeting. Then she doesn't. Min-young is younger than the woman in the photographs. Early 30s. Professional, but not corporate. She sits when offered, but doesn't relax. I'm the one who met with your husband, she says immediately. I'm the asset he mentioned. Mira closes the office door. Why are you here? Because someone is using my work to destabilize your marriage, and that complicates my position. How does it complicate your position? If you divorce him, his family restructures their intelligence protocols. I lose access. I lose income. I lose protection. Min-young crosses her legs. I have an interest in your marriage surviving. That's honest. It's practical. Mira sits behind her desk. Tell me about the meetings. Min-young does. Efficiently. 7 meetings over 18 months. All related to information exchanges with individuals Joon Hyuk's family needed to monitor. No personal contact beyond what was operationally necessary. No intimacy. No ambiguity. The photograph where his hand is on my arm, Min-young says. I was about to be approached by someone I couldn't be seen with. He created a reason for me to leave. By touching you. By appearing to know me socially. Yes. He could have done that without physical contact. The contact sold the performance. Made it believable. She leans forward slightly. Your husband is very good at creating plausible alternatives to the truth. That's why he's useful. But it's also why photographs can be weaponized. Mira says nothing for a moment. Who sent them, she asks. I don't know. But I can tell you who benefits. Lim, among others. Min-young tilts her head. You were offered something. You declined. This is pressure to reconsider. By making me doubt my husband. By showing you the parts of his life you can't verify. The parts that require you to trust without evidence. She pauses. That's a hard thing to ask. Especially from someone who spent 5 years not asking anything from you at all. It's accurate enough to sting. Why should I believe you? Mira asks. You shouldn't. Not automatically. Min-young reaches into her bag. Pulls out a folder. But you can verify. She slides it across the desk. Inside are meeting logs. Locations. Times. Contextual notes about each exchange. Nothing classified. Just the operational skeleton. These match your husband's records, Min-young says. Ask him. He'll confirm. He told me he couldn't show me his records. He can't show you the content. But he can confirm the dates and locations. That should be enough to verify I'm telling the truth about the scope. Mira looks through the folder. 7 entries. The same dates as the photographs that exist, plus 4 others. Who else knows about this? She asks. The people who need to. Your husband's father. A few operational managers. No one outside the immediate chain. And you're breaking protocol by being here. I'm exercising judgment. There's a difference. Does Joon Hyuk know you're here? Not yet. But he will. I'll report it myself. Min-young stands. I'm not doing this to be noble. I'm doing it because instability in your marriage costs me security. That's transactional. But it's also true. She moves toward the door. Stops. One more thing, she says. The messages you've been receiving. The ones about the apartment in Seongsadong. What about them? That unit has been inactive for 11 months. It's scheduled for sale. If someone told you it's being actively used, they're lying. She opens the door. But you should verify that too. Don't take my word for it. She leaves. Mira sits with the folder for 20 minutes. Then she calls Joon Hyuk. Can you come to my office? She asks. When? Now. He arrives 30 minutes later. She hands him the folder without explanation. He reads through it. His expression doesn't change. Where did you get this? He asks. Choi Min-young came to see me. She what? About an hour ago. She said someone is using her to destabilize us. He sets the folder down. She shouldn't have done that. But did she tell the truth? He's quiet. Then, Yes. All 7 meetings are accurate. Yes. And the apartment in Seongsadong? Inactive for almost a year. We're liquidating the property. He looks at her. I had it verified yesterday after you showed me the messages. I was waiting to confirm before telling you. Why wait? Because I wanted to be certain. Not approximately certain. Actually certain. Mira leans back in her chair. She said you'd confirm the dates, but not the content. That's correct. Because the content is classified. Yes. But you're telling me this much. I'm confirming what Min-young told you because she already compromised the compartmentalization. Refusing to confirm would create more doubt than confirmation risks. It's logical, procedural, entirely unhelpful for what she actually needs. I don't know how to live with this, Mira says quietly. With knowing there are parts of your life I'll never be able to access. Parts you'll never be able to explain. I know. That's all you're going to say? What else can I say? I can't change the nature of the work. I can only tell you that the work isn't about anyone else. It's about information management and risk mitigation. He pauses. The woman in the photographs is an asset, not a relationship. Those are categorically different things. But I have to trust that. Yes. Without being able to verify it. You can verify the scope, the frequency, the purpose within security limitations. He gestures to the folder. Min-young gave you that. I'm confirming it. That's more transparency than protocol allows. But not enough to eliminate doubt. No, not completely. Mira stands, moves to the window. Her office overlooks the river. Cargo ships move slowly upstream. Purposeful, visible. The message is stopped, she says. When? This morning. After Min-young arrived. Whoever sent them knows she came to see you. How? I don't know. But they know. He joins her at the window. Doesn't touch her. Just stands close. They'll try something else. When? Soon. How do we stop it? We don't. We just decide whether we're going to let it work. She looks at him. Is that what you want? For me to decide it won't work? Yes. Even though you can't give me certainty? Even though. She turns back to the window. Min-young said you're good at creating plausible alternatives to the truth, Mira says. That it's why you're useful. It is. How do I know you're not doing that now? You don't. He's quiet for a moment. But I've never lied to you about whether something happened. Only about why it happened when why was classified. That's a very fine distinction. It's the only one I have. A ship sounds its horn, low and long. The sound carries across the water and fades. I want to believe you, Mira says. I know. But belief isn't enough. What would be? I don't know yet. He nods. Doesn't push. Min-young will be disciplined for coming here, he says after a moment. Not severely, but enough that she won't do it again. She did it to protect her position. I know. It was still a breach. Will you report it? I have to, even though it helped. Protocol doesn't care whether it helped. Mira turns away from the window. You should go, she says. I have work. He doesn't argue. Moves toward the door. Stops. Thank you, he says. For what? For calling me. Instead of just deciding on your own. He leaves before she can respond. She sits back down at her desk. Opens the folder again. Reads through the meeting logs one more time. They're plausible. Consistent. Verifiable within limits. But not complete. Never complete. Her phone buzzes. A message from Joon Hyuk. I meant what I said. I'm trying. She doesn't respond. Just closes the folder and returns to work. Mira realizes she's pregnant on a Tuesday morning. Not with ceremony. Not with anticipation. Just nausea that arrives precisely at 7:15 and doesn't leave. She takes the test in the office bathroom. Waits the required 3 minutes while sitting on the closed toilet lid, counting ceiling tiles. There are 42. 2 lines. She takes a second test. Same result. She doesn't tell anyone immediately. Not Joon Hyuk. Not her assistant. She goes to her 9 o'clock meeting and discusses quarterly projections with people who don't notice she's only drinking water. By lunch, she's made an appointment with a doctor. By evening, it's confirmed. 8 weeks. She tries to remember 8 weeks ago. What they were doing. Whether it was one of the nights they were trying or one of the nights they were just existing in proximity. She can't remember. That night, Joon Hyuk is home before she is. He's in the kitchen when she arrives, doing something with vegetables that looks more like organization than cooking. You're late, he says without looking up. Meeting ran over. How was it? Fine. He glances at her then. You look tired. I am. He sets down the knife. Are you feeling all right? I need to tell you something. The shift in his attention is immediate. Complete. What happened? Nothing bad. Just, she sets down her bag. I'm pregnant. He goes very still. Not frozen. Just utterly motionless in a way that suggests processing rather than shock. How long, he asks. 8 weeks. You're certain? Yes. He doesn't move toward her. Doesn't move at all. Is this, he stops. Starts again. Do you want this? I don't know yet. All right. That's all you're going to say? What should I say? I don't know. Something more than all right. He leans against the counter. His hands grip the edge. I'm trying to figure out what the right response is, he says carefully. I don't want to assume you want me to be happy. I don't want to assume you want me to be involved. I don't want to. Joon Hyuk. He stops. Just tell me what you actually feel, Mira says. He's quiet for a long time. When he speaks, his voice is lower. I feel like I should have been better at this before now. I feel like you're telling me this because you have to, not because you want to. I feel like I don't have the right to be anything except whatever you need me to be. That's not an answer. I'm terrified, he says, and relieved, and completely unprepared. He looks at her directly. Is that enough of an answer? Yes. He moves closer, stops before reaching her. What do you need, he asks. I don't know yet. Then tell me when you do. She nods. He returns to the vegetables, starts cutting again. His hands are steady, but the pieces are uneven. We should talk about this, Mira says. We are talking about it. I mean, really talk about it. About what this means. About whether we're ready. Are we? I don't know. He sets down the knife again. I don't either. They stand in the kitchen, not touching, not speaking. The silence isn't comfortable. It isn't hostile. It's just present. I have another doctor's appointment in 2 weeks, Mira says finally, to confirm everything is progressing normally. Do you want me to come? Do you want to come? Yes. Then come. He nods once. They don't eat the vegetables. They order food neither of them finishes. That night, Mira lies in bed trying to imagine what 8 months from now looks like. She can't. The image won't form. Joon Hyuk is in the next room. She can hear him moving around. Drawers opening. Water running. The sounds of someone not sleeping. At 2 in the morning, she gets up, finds him in the study, looking at something on his laptop. Can't sleep? She asks. No. What are you doing? He turns the screen toward her. Baby furniture. Cribs. Safety specifications. It's too early for that, she says. I know. Then why are you looking? Because I don't know what else to do. She sits in the chair across from him. We don't have to figure everything out tonight. I know that too. Then come to bed. I'm not tired. Neither am I. They sit in the study together. Not talking. Not planning. Just present in the same space in the same moment, which is more than they've managed most nights. Eventually, he closes the laptop. I'm going to try very hard not to be my father, he says quietly. I know. I'm probably going to fail at that sometimes. Probably. Will you tell me when I do? Yes. He looks at her. Are you scared? Yes. Of what? Of everything. She pauses. Of not being ready. Of this changing things before we've figured out what things are supposed to be. Of realizing too late that we made a mistake. Which mistake? Any of them. All of them. He doesn't offer reassurance. Doesn't minimize her concerns. Just nods. I'm scared too, he says. Of what? Of not knowing how to be good at this. Of repeating patterns I don't want to repeat. Of losing you because I don't know how to be what you need and what the child needs at the same time. It's the most honest he's been about anything. We're going to fail at parts of this, Mira says. I know, but we should probably try anyway. Yes. They go to bed. Don't sleep. Just lie in the dark on opposite sides of the mattress, not touching but aware of each other in a way that's become familiar over the past weeks. In the morning, Joon Hyuk makes coffee and sets it in front of her before remembering she shouldn't drink it. Sorry, he says. It's fine. He makes tea instead. Earl Grey. She doesn't correct him. 3 days later, her father calls. I heard, he says without preamble. Heard what? That you're pregnant. She goes cold. Who told you? Does it matter? Yes. Someone at your doctor's office has a connection to someone I know. Information travels. He pauses. Congratulations. Thank you. Does this change your position on the board? Why would it? Because pregnancy complicates things. Only if I let it. You'll need to take leave eventually. I'm aware. And Joon Hyuk is handling it, she finishes. We're handling it. Her father is quiet for a moment. Are you? We're trying. That's not the same thing. It's what we have. He doesn't argue. Just says he'll call again later and ends the conversation. Mira sits with her phone in her hand, trying to trace the leak, trying to determine whether it was accidental or strategic. She can't. When Hyuk comes home, she tells him about the call. Your father knows, she says. How? Someone from the doctor's office. His expression darkens. That's a violation. I know. I'll handle it. Don't. Why not? Because it doesn't matter. Everyone will know eventually anyway. The timing matters. To who? He doesn't answer. That night, Mira dreams of corridors that don't end, of doors that open into the same room, of voices speaking in languages she almost understands. She wakes at 4. Hyuk is already awake, sitting up beside her. Bad dream, he asks. Yes. Want to talk about it? No. All right. They sit in the dark, not sleeping, not speaking, just waiting for morning to arrive and tell them what comes next. The board meeting happens 3 months later. Mira is showing by then. Not dramatically, just enough that tailored jackets no longer hide it completely. She arrives early, takes her seat at the table, the one she earned, the one that came with conditions she's still measuring. Hyuk's father is already there. He acknowledges her with a nod. Nothing more. The others filter in. 7 board members. 3 from her family. 4 from his. She's the tiebreaker on paper. In practice, she's still learning how much that matters. The agenda is routine. Quarterly reviews. Budget approvals. Expansion proposals that won't be decided today. Halfway through, someone mentions the pregnancy. Not directly. Just a comment about succession planning. About continuity. About the importance of stable leadership during transitions. Mira lets it pass without response. After the meeting, Hyuk's father stops her in the hallway. You handled that well, he says. Handled what? The implication that your condition affects your capacity. It doesn't. I know, but others will wonder. He adjusts his watch. Perception management becomes more important now. I'm aware. Are you? He looks at her directly. Your position was already scrutinized. This adds complexity. Or it adds legitimacy. He almost smiles. Perhaps. He leaves. She stands in the empty hallway for a moment, feeling the weight of everything that's been added to her without asking. At home, Hyuk is in the nursery. They've been calling it that for weeks now, though it's still mostly empty. He's assembling a crib. The instructions are spread across the floor. He's halfway through. You don't have to do that now, Mira says from the doorway. I want to. It's too early. We don't even know if. She stops. Doesn't finish the sentence. Hyuk sets down the Allen wrench. If what? If everything will be fine. It will be. You don't know that. No. But I'm choosing to believe it anyway. It's such a simple statement. Such an unstrategic position. It catches her off guard. She sits on the floor beside him. Picks up one of the crib rails. Your father thinks the pregnancy complicates my position, she says. It does. That's not reassuring. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be accurate. He fits 2 pieces together. But complication isn't the same as liability. You've proven you can manage complexity. Have I? You're still here. She looks at him. Is that enough? I don't know. But it's more than we had 6 months ago. They work on the crib together. His hands are more precise than hers. Her patience is steadier than his. Between them, the structure takes shape. When they finish, he steps back to assess it. It's crooked, he says. Only slightly. Should we take it apart? No. Why not? Because nothing is going to be perfect. We should get used to that now. He looks at her. Something shifts in his expression. When did you get wise? He asks. I'm not wise. I'm just tired of trying to control things I can't. That sounds like wisdom. It sounds like surrender. Maybe those are the same thing. They leave the crooked crib assembled. Close the door on the mostly empty nursery. In the kitchen, Hyuk makes dinner. Actual dinner. Not reheated takeout. He's gotten better at it over the months. Not good. Just better. I saw Min Young today, he says while chopping vegetables. How is she? Careful. She asks about you sometimes. That's professional. It's more than that. He sets down the knife. She was reassigned after coming to see you. Lower profile work. Less access. She blames me, not you. Should I feel guilty about that? No. She made her choice. But she's right that it cost her. Mira sits at the counter. Does that bother you? Yes. Why? Because she was competent. Because the system punished her for being honest when honesty helped. He returns to chopping. Because I'm the reason the system works that way. You can't change the entire structure. No, but I benefit from it. That's not neutral. She watches him work. The precision of his movements. The care he takes even with simple tasks. The rival married, Mira says. Lim, I saw the announcement. I know. Did you send a gift? No. Did you? No. They're quiet for a moment. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd accepted his offer? Hyuk asks. Sometimes. And I think I'd be somewhere else with different problems, having different conversations with someone who'd eventually disappoint me in different ways. She pauses. But I wouldn't have this. This. She gestures vaguely. At him. At the apartment. At the life they've been assembling piece by piece, imperfectly, without guarantee. This, she says. He doesn't respond immediately, just continues cooking. But something in his posture softens. They eat at the table. Not in separate rooms. Not in strategic silence. Just together. After dinner, Mira goes to the nursery. Stands in the doorway looking at the crooked crib. Joon Hyuk appears behind her. Having second thoughts, he asks. Constantly. About what? Everything. Whether we're ready. Whether we'll be good at this. Whether the child will look at us in 15 years and wonder why we thought we could manage. They probably will. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be. He moves to stand beside her. But they'll look at other things too. At the fact that we tried. At the fact that we didn't pretend things were easy when they weren't. You sound optimistic. I sound terrified and pretending otherwise. She almost laughs. Doesn't quite. I don't know if I love you yet, she says quietly. He's silent for a moment. I know. Does that bother you? Yes. But you're still here. Yes. Why? He considers the question. Because I think I'm starting to love you. And I'd rather be here while you figure out if you can than somewhere else pretending it doesn't matter. It's not a declaration. It's not poetry. It's just honest in a way that feels more valuable than either. That's going to have to be enough for now, Mira says. I know. They stand in the doorway. Not touching. Not separate. The crib really is crooked, he says after a while. I know. We should probably fix it. Tomorrow. Why not now? Because I'm tired. And because crooked is fine. She turns to look at him. Everything doesn't have to be perfect to work. Is that what you tell yourself about us? Yes. Does it help? Sometimes. He nods. That's more than I expected. They close the nursery door. Return to the living room. To the evening routines they've built without noticing. To the life that doesn't resemble what either of them planned but exists anyway. Outside, the city continues. Cargo moves along the river. Lights shift and settle. The infrastructure of other people's lives hums along, indifferent to individual outcomes. Mira sits on the couch. Joon Hyuk sits beside her. Not close. Not distant. She doesn't know if this is what love looks like when it arrives late. She doesn't know if the child will be healthy. If the board will accept her continued authority. If the compartments in Joon Hyuk's life will ever fully open. She doesn't know if the rival will resurface with better offers. If the photographs were the last attempt at destabilization or just the first. She doesn't know if the marriage will survive the weight of everything they've added to it without permission. But she knows they're here. In the same room. In the same moment. Trying. It's not certainty. It's not resolution. But it's something. And for now, that has to be enough.